the meeting or not?
Obviously, when you are recording, the option of, let me just check.
Yeah. It's being recorded right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I've just done that. But then,
Good.
I'll just end the meeting. My side, I'll end the meeting very well. But now
Excellent.
I'm not sure of my storage capacity.
I understand. Okay, then then you have to bring me to make me a host back, I think, because but at least we know now that it is possible. Because
Yeah.
I cannot make myself the host back somehow, because you are the official host now. Do you know how to do that? You have to find my picture and to click on the three dots there, and then it is supposed to tell you that. Just a moment, I will check if I can make myself the host again.
Otherwise, Arik, we just have to do more sessions like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Frederick, so can you make me the host back so that I can?
I think, Eric, there's no problem. Let's not worry, because I think it's going to record in the Zoom. Or what do we do now?
Yeah, because you see, if I'm trying to record now, because I made you the host, then it tells me ask the host to allow you to record.
To record. Okay.
But if you think that there will be enough storage capacity on your phone, then we'll just keep it like that. And if not, if you have any doubts, then we'll just make it back. We'll just bring it back to me. So does it show you any option to? You have to click on my.
I've done so, but I think we should not worry, Eric. Let's just do it the way we have it now.
Okay, good. Yeah. Good, no problem. And then you are also supposed to have an option to end it for everyone, because
I have that.
You have it. Okay. Yeah. So and that's very good that we discovered it, because from now on in such situations you can just be the host. Okay, cool.
Thank you. So we'll just go straight away into the our meeting, our webinar, and we are so happy to have Tilman. Did I call that name right? Exactly.
Yes, thank you.
All the way from Zurich, all the way from Switzerland.
You see, it's right over here.
Okay.
Thank you very much for hosting and organizing it. I really, really appreciate it.
I'm so happy to have you, because last time when we were talking, later after I reviewed what with Trevor, when we were talking with when we had that webinar with Trevor, I sat down, listened to it, checked on our strengths, maybe our weaknesses. Then I realized that there are some things that maybe we were overlooking. By the time you are giving your ideas and talking about your experiences and talking about your journey, then I felt like, we need to give you time. We can't just overlook this. For somebody going, by that time it was 41. I think it was 41. We were in 41st day.
Yes, exactly. A long time ago.
Yeah. And today we are talking about 50. You are in 50.
I am on day 55 today, believe it or not.
Wow. So you see, people like us who have not gone past that far, whether water fast, whether juice fasting, we want to know what motivates you exactly. And maybe how did you learn about this? And even sometimes I've even wondered the strength you have, because by the way, with dry fast, those people who just do the dry fast, it's not easy to even make a webinar, even to talk the way we are talking now, because sometimes the saliva becomes so thick here, it becomes very like a gum. You can't even talk.
And that's
the strength. Yeah. Strength sometimes is quite down. So
it's an exciting journey, exactly, and that's why it's important, I think, for all of us to share, and also to have a forum to share. I'm very happy that you and Arik actually created this forum, because for a long time I'd explored this on my own, and I didn't have any references, because as all of us know, there are no really good, or at least in the past, there weren't very many good references to take. There's a few books, there's some study groups, but it's not really a mainstream science, because literally with what Trevor are doing and we're doing here is we're on the cutting edge of fasting technology, if you want. And there is literally no guidance. So you really, really have to listen very carefully. And there's very few references. And I'm happy that in all of you, I actually have a group of people who can, hold me accountable, who can give me ideas and whom I can share ideas with and test ideas with, because it's very important for all of us to share so we can grow as a team. So I think a big thank you from all of us to you, Frederick, and to you, Arik, for creating this forum. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, just you see, with fasting, yes, Arik.
No, just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for participating and for enlightening us. Thank you.
Of course, because I'm happy to have found a family and this group and a place where I can, actually learn and not worry about having to educate everyone or having to fight off any idiotic feedback that I should have died around 40 days ago. Because I didn't.
Or even before, even earlier than 40.
Exactly. And that's, I think, why it's so important for us to have these smaller groups so we can exchange and build ideas and just build knowledge and also record it for others to understand and to share and help them on their journey.
Wow. So maybe we'll just start with your journey. How long have you known fasting? Maybe how did you start to the journey, maybe on that personal level?
Sure. I mean, I'll talk a little bit about the journey. I'll talk about the why I did it. And I also talk about, I think the part that's most interesting for all of us here is the individual learnings, why it's, what all of us can learn about it, right? Because had you asked me, had you asked me 5 years ago about fasting, I would have, looked at you blankly and said, okay, whatever, what is this? And I think what initially got me into fasting was I was working in finance. I was in the office until 11 o'clock every night. And I just noticed my health was not doing so well. My blood pressure got going up. I started, I was getting some food allergies. I was getting tired, sleepy, brain fog. And I went to the gym a lot. I was doing a lot of cardio and nothing helped. And I think all of us have been there. We've been through this and, working harder, working out more stress, and somehow this didn't work. And I was looking for something that did work. And I had some fitness instructor that kind of incorporated a day of fasting. And I always noticed on the day of fasting, I did really well. But I never clicked to me that I clicked that I should maybe do a longer fast. And then at some point, I learned about something called Bulletproof Coffee. I'm sure some of you have heard it. It's basically coffee that you mix with butter and with coconut oil, for instance. And that kind of is a real performance enhancement for your food. And then I started reading about Jason Fung. And all of a sudden, it made sense to me because I never had a problem with the discipline about it. And so I just thought, okay, that sounds good. So initially, the first time I actually combined Bulletproof Coffee and I did a 17-day fast. It worked extremely well. I felt like so clear and fresh and focused. I would never imagine be able to actually do this without the butter and the coconut oil. What I liked about Bulletproof Coffee is that essentially it's a food that doesn't spike insulin, but it's still brain food. So sometimes that is one advice I would say for people who want to get into fasting, but have problems because they just don't have the energy. Then certainly taking something that doesn't spike insulin, like butter or like coconut oil, is certainly a help. And then after the 17-day fast, I thought, okay, that was kind of easy. I took a bit of a break. And then the next time I did 38 days. I did I discovered like full water fasting, no supplements, nothing. And when I discovered it, I thought, okay, this works really well. So why don't I carry on? So I actually did 38 days, at the end of which I had to stop because my my blood pressure got really low because I realized I couldn't really get up and stand for a long time. And at the time, I didn't realize it was mainly just because I was a little bit low on potassium and some minerals. Because I didn't really, I mean, a lot of people use a lot of supplements during fasting, and I didn't use anything. I was just drinking water and tea. And then I realized, you know, my blood pressure had halved, and I learned about supplementation with some, just with some base minerals. And I took a year's break from water fasting. And what I had discovered in the meantime was dry fasting. You know, what Trevor talked about last time. And I actually do like dry fasting very much. I also do realize it's not for everyone, but I absolutely love it because it's so pure, so clear, it's so powerful. Right?
Yeah, let me just interrupt a little.
Yes.
Because I've just discovered this. I think this is one of the things that I'm getting this week. That with the dry fast, it is actually very dangerous with a person who is full of toxics. A person who has not done detoxification. So you can just get out from the full meals that we have been taking all these our lives, and then you discover fasting and you start with the dry fast. So it is actually a journey that should start. The information, the way it's coming from your side, the way it came from your side was the best. Because when you start with the cleaning fast, maybe the juices, the green tea, whatever your journey was, if it is the right track, that's the right track. We should actually encourage people to know on how to detoxify before we tell them about the dry fast. They should also know about the water fast. Actually, they should have practiced, not just knowing. So detoxification comes fast before even any other kind of a fast. It starts with even the type of food we eat. Trevor talked about this thing of dense food. You should have now gotten some things out of your system. Like Dr. Afnelov talks about in 3 months before you get into the dry fast, you should have gone through some series of practice. Maybe you get out coffee from your diet. You get out beef. You don't take beef or things like that. So I think you might have not known, but by accident you are doing the right thing, or maybe by a coincidence. Like that, it is the right thing that you're doing. It's the right path. You are in the right path anyway. So maybe you can continue.
I think it's very valuable what you said there, because in the end, fasting is about A, it's a personal journey, but B, it's also really about detoxification. And on the first 38-day fast was probably the most detoxification I've ever done, because I was on that fast, I was very, very tired all the time. It was a really hard one. And then I realized that apart from our largest organ, like our skin, you know, you also detoxify, as I think all of us know, through our tongue. So you always, every 2 hours, you need to use a tongue scraper. But you had the taste like metals, like batteries in your tongue. You had to taste like sour, sweet, metallic, constantly. So you notice like all the different phases, layers that your body is going through. It's a very powerful detoxification. And I was very happy, like you mentioned, that I discovered this before dry fasting, because water fasting is a very, very good base and foundation and preparation for all kinds of fasting. And I think it's very important to have done a long fast first to really, really detoxify, because dry fasting is really like a turbocharged, powerful version of it. Yes. And then last year, yes, I heard about dry fasting. So I did a 1 day. 10 minutes later, I said, okay, I'll get started. I did a 1 day one. I realized it was easier, so I did a 3 day. And then I had this, I had to go through was like the 72 hours. 5 or 6 tries to get through it. And every time I was super thirsty, I just could not get past the 3 day mark. I was counting the hours. I made the 3 days, but I just couldn't go beyond. And then all of a sudden, one day it became easy. And I went through to, I think, 6 days. And then I did consecutively 7, 8. The longest I did was 10. And then I was wondering, because often, Filinov says at this point, you should have like a very, very big set, a reset, a big step. And I didn't feel anything between day 7 and 10. So I never explored further. I went to day 10. And then I went back to long, because, Christmas, I thought I did a couple of fasts leading up to Christmas. But then after Christmas, I just said, look, I'm going all in, do a full reset. I'll go a little bit longer this time. Use the fact I don't need to go I have business meetings, but there's no cafes to go to, no restaurants to go to. So I just, I got started on January at 1 in the morning, and I haven't touched a bit of it since. So literally we're on day 55 now, and it's going extremely well. I've probably never felt better in my life. I've never felt more serene, more focused, more clear, more purposeful. And my whole life is changing around me. So as we all say, it's, powerful. It somehow also changes the life and the people around you. So it doesn't just clean you, but it cleans your environment and cleans everything else around you. So it's been I think that in short has been my journey. I do know that sometimes on longer fasts, you also get a plateau effect. So what I tend to do is to mix it up a bit, is I do a water fast, and then every week I do a 1-week dry fast. So if I have a bit of a funny voice now, I'm close to day 4 on a dry fast within this water fast. So I've done several. I've done a 5-day and a 7-day dry fast inside of this 50 days. So it might be a little bit crazy, but it certainly turbocharges your longer fast and has much more powerful healing effects. And then when you drink, it actually feels like having food. When you drink, you're so full and replenished for like 3 days or 7 days. You don't want anything else. You're just so happy having a cup of tea or a bit of water. And there's nothing much else you need. And that might also answer some of the questions later regarding hunger. But I thought, let's focus just very, very briefly. I wanted to give you a health journey so you understand how it's been working for me so far. On the 1st of April, it's Easter. So I'm going to go home and spend Easter with my father, my sister, her family, and her nephew and niece. So I'll definitely be eating with them, cooking with them. So let's say 3 or 4 days beforehand, I will start refeeding. But I'll certainly go probably until the 25th of March. So let's say another 12, 13, 14 days, another 2 weeks, and then I'll stop. And in terms of results, I started after Christmas at surprisingly 220 pounds or 98 kilos. Now I'm at 67 kilos or 147 pounds. I've lost around 31 pounds or 31 kilos or 77 pounds during that period. It wasn't so much about the weight loss. It was just about feeling good and focused. Overall, my main goal was I have some very big things I need to achieve this year, some very big projects, and I need to be really on point and I need to be fit and ready for it. So I just thought, okay, before everything starts, I'll just do a complete reset and cleanse. And then slowly beginning of April, go back into normal life. And then, be on the top of my game for the rest of the year. So as to the why, I wanted to, there's a few points I think that all of us share. We really want to become ourselves again. We want to reset our body. We want to prolong our health. And we want to increase performance, if you want, professionally, privately, really be on top. And then 5th, I would say, it's also an adventure, right? how far can you go? Can you really go back to, can we go back to how we were when we were 25? Can we really completely reset ourselves and literally become a teenager again? And it was quite amazing to find out for me just how far we can go without endangering ourselves. So I think that was my journey. That was the why. And then I think with all of you, I'd like to, you probably have some questions. I also have a lot of, just fasting steps, about exercise, about dry fasting, about plateaus, about supplements, about detoxing. So might be if you have some questions. Otherwise, I have a lot of experiences that I would like to share that I had along the way.
Yeah, there is something that you have talked about. I think is one thing that gives people a big problem in our groups nowadays. People have started the fasting lifestyle. Here people talk about weight loss. Can dry fast help me lose weight? But you see, as you are talking, I'm just in the right direction for weight loss, because if you're now talking about you came from 147 kilograms.
No, I came from 98 kilos to
98 to 67 now.
For the Americans, I tried to make it in pounds as well.
Pounds,
so
okay.
98 kilos to 67 kilos, so 31 kilos down since Christmas.
Wow, so this is wonderful. And you see, with practice, it is true that water fast helps so much better than dry fast in weight loss. It's the best, actually. For those people who are struggling with weight loss, the one that is most recommended, or people have tried here and there, the best that is for weight loss is water fast, because gaining that weight again after you have broken your fast is not as easy as the way it is the reverse with the dry fast. With the dry fast, the first thing that happens, the body gets the water, and then a lot of the weight that you lose is water and fat. But then when you just break the fast, it's like absorbing everything. So you find that you just gain back almost everything that you had lost, And with time, it's also becomes so aggressive. Digestion becomes so aggressive, so that it's like everything that you eat must be digested. It has to be taken to the system. So there was always a challenge there. And I think on my side, I can recommend water fast on the issue of weight loss. At least for now, we are still in this journey, so we are going to find very many other things. Okay, at the time you're fasting, let's say the time you have now gotten into dry fast, like we talked about 5 days, you did then 7 days. During that time, because do you find some challenges maybe with breathing, maybe with dizziness, maybe with at that point where now you are not using water, you are just on dry? Totally. What are the challenges at that point?
It's a very good point. You mentioned this. I'm now at the end of day 3 of a dry fast inside of this bowl, right? And as you can tell, my mouth is a little bit dry. I do soft dry fasts. Trevor, for instance, is doing hard dry fasts, and that is fine. But when you need to speak, I sometimes have 3 or 4 meetings a day, like physical meetings. And then it's very, very difficult when you're on a hard dry fast. In addition, one of the points that you might want to mention is exercise. I have a golden retriever, and I walk like 2 or 3 hours every night, across Mount Zurich to the other side. So I walk maybe like 8 to 10 kilometers. And I noticed from day 3 on a dry fast, your blood gets thicker, your heartbeat gets faster, and it's a lot harder to get up those mountains. Whereas like day 1 or 2, you still fly up the mountains like there's nothing. But 3, 4, 5, it's a struggle. Every step you need to breathe harder, because it's a lot harder for your body to get oxygen. So dry fast is very powerful, but as you mentioned, it's not as easy. And certainly when you exercise, you notice limitations.
Wow, thank you. And maybe before we open for anybody else, there are other things that comes up when you're talking, and maybe let me just ask one. Your plan. Do you plan a lifestyle of fasting for good, or it's something that maybe you feel like it's too burdensome to your body now, the way whatever you are passing through now? Do you plan that maybe you will one day just live on, then you come back to the normal life that you have been living, or you have totally transitioned, so that maybe you are going to be having the lifestyle of fasting every now and then? And at what point, this is a little separate question, at what point of your fast, from the day one, from the time you started day one, but then did you plan it's going to be for how many days? Was it already in your mind that I've started day one and then I want to target these days, by this time maybe I'll finish the fast? And lastly, at what point during the fast, was the most challenging time? Because now you're talking about over 50, we're in the 55th day of your fast. There must be some point where you felt like, no, I don't see the reason why I'm doing this. Maybe I'm torturing my body too much. I've pushed myself to the point where no, I cannot go beyond this, or maybe something like that. And I don't know, I'm mixing so many questions, but let me just put them together because they are kind of related. And what really makes you to keep on going, even when you have reached a point where you feel like you should you should stop, but you're still just keeping going, because it is mind-blowing, by the way. Mind-blowing. No food, just water, and in between there are some dry fast. It is not something that's it's not a mean achievement. Great, it's a big thing. It's a big thing. So maybe you can clear that for us.
So Frederick, those were 4 very great questions, and I'll go through them in detail. What made me want to start, I wanted to reset my life, and I wanted to do it properly. And regarding the duration, I decided, look, I did I think around 20 days before Christmas. It felt really good. And I thought, okay, I'll create some space for Christmas. Then I go all in for Christmas, eat all the treats, and enjoy the whole experience with the family, go and bake with my nephew and niece, and then really start in January. Took a bit longer. It took me until the 18th. I think it's very important for all of us to realize sometimes it takes 2, 3, 4 attempts until a fast sticks. Because sometimes you start a day, it doesn't feel right. You start a day and then you get hungry again. Sometimes you need to kickstart yourself 2 or 3 times until it gets started. But the amazing thing about a longer fast is from the day you start, most people try day 1 or 2 and it's still very hard. And rather than stopping, rather than just continuing, they just always start in the hardest part of the circle. Whereas the beauty in a fast is from day 3 onwards, because you're literally in the, you're calm, you're serene, you have no more desire, the coffee headache is gone, you have no food cravings, you're focused, and you're just in a different space. And it's never been hard from that day onwards. I would say during the entire 55 days, I've never experienced a hard day. Maybe on previous fasts. The very fascinating thing about a longer fast is that you go through layers. Say, for instance, you go through, you have a week where you're super tired because your body is dealing with some detoxification to go through. Then another week, you have adrenaline week. I had weeks where I couldn't sleep. Your heart is pumping, you're charged up, you're fully focused, you're aggressive. And you have 3 hours of sleep maximum, and that's a whole week. So you're completely exhausted, but there's something that your body is dealing with. And then the last week, I was just feeling like a really serene, calm week. So I kind of feel that I've achieved a very good level of detoxification. In the last days, I've been super tired again. And that was coupled with lots of meetings. So I just had a really hard time staying awake in meetings. But you can really tell your body is dealing with things. And you get very, very much in tune with your body, and you basically get this detached view. You look at your body and it's working through layers of emotions, traumas, shocks, whatever is deposited in the past that it has to deal with. So it's kind of a resetting of your history as well. And that's one of the interesting aspects. So literally when you say, was it hard? In my case, it was never hard. It just kept being good. Now, one of the dangers in fasting is that it gets so addictive. You're like on this very, very high level, and you don't want to leave this plateau. And you literally want to carry on and on. And you view yourself as healthier and healthier, whereas people around you look at you and you're a little bit hollow-eyed, hollow-cheeked, and you look like you just walked out of some kind of camp. And they sometimes look at you like, okay, what's wrong with you? Are you sick? Do you have cancer? What happened? Why did you lose so much? And you're like, no, I'm just on a fast. And then at that point, they want to know about it, because literally everyone you meet would need a longer fast. I think it's more, do you want to stop? Not really. Like last time even, I had to force myself to want to eat. And refeeding is something that we should cover in a little bit later on as well. But literally once you are on a longer fast, you don't want to stop. And then the last point that you mentioned is for continued lifestyle, I would probably do a week a month, because it's so powerful. It's resetting you, it's making you fresh, it's making you healthy again. It's getting rid of a lot of health problems. And sometimes we can't help it. We eat some beautiful cake, we eat some sweets, we are out with clients, and it doesn't matter. Then you just reset for a week and restore your body to a reset point. So the continued lifestyle is probably going to be three weeks of 1 meal a day, and then 1 week of water fast, maybe 3 days of dry fast. And that will be my maintenance lifestyle.
Wow.
Hope that answered the questions, Frederick.
Yeah, you have said that as you are talking, it makes me have more questions. Like my mind is like getting more ideas from you, because as you were talking about when you are in the fast, you feel like you don't want to leave, because you reach at a plateau, a point where there is just joy, peace. You have that serenity in your body, synchronized, everything is okay, calm. But then it makes me think of cutting the fast. When a person is just coming from this, when you have been eating all this your life, and then you want to start, it's like dying. The body doesn't want it totally, and that's why so many people outside there are resisting it. They don't know. They wonder what hurts you. This thing hurts you, and then you want to do this thing. But we understand those are just a matter of so many toxins in the body. That's the reason for the heart, that people feel a lot of pain when they try to do this short fast, maybe 24 hours, and then they feel like, wow, I'm dying. This is not me. But now the question is, how do you now overcome this temptation in the fast? How do you now overcome this temptation of not trying to stop? You just want to continue and continue and continue, because there's a point where you must come down from the mountain. That's
It's very difficult, because you don't want to fast yourself to death, right?
Yeah.
But you also realize, at some point I have to just go and descend back into the world, and it's fine. You shouldn't feel guilty. You feel kind of guilty, like, in a way you feel like, oh, I'm polluting my body now. Last time, it took me through 3 or 4 days to actually keep food down. I started with very simple things. Some people start with bone broth. I started with like some broccoli, some carrots, some avocado. And after 2 or 3 days, I could keep it down. The thing is, your body stops desiring things. Like literally everything stops being interesting. And you don't want anything. You just want like seriously, like the first week, I wanted broccoli. I wanted carrots. I wanted maybe a little bit of butter and some tea. And that was it. So your body, in a way, it tells you what it needs to just to slowly re-enter the world of food. On day 2, I ate some onions, which was not good. Like literally for a day, I was feeling sick. But you learn, right? You find things that are very easy foods that restore you. Because in a way, you need to rehydrate, restore, and slowly get used, because your body needs to build up a flora, your stomach, because for the last 4 weeks, there's been literally nothing in your stomach. And I might also take some psyllium husk, and maybe some prebiotics, just something to rebuild a basic gut flora, because it has trouble just digesting it, because it's missing all the bacteria that normally aid your body in feeding itself.
Wow. And maybe I think this one you may handle it later, but I just want to put it across. It's more of the spiritual aspect of the fast. Because when you go, you have been going up. The fasting spiritually is like you're going up. That's why you reach a point where all the toxins are gone. You become very cleaner in your spirit, in your emotion, in your thinking. You also become very clean in your spirit. So you find a point where you reach where there's that harmony between you and the divine, maybe between you and God, between you and the angels, between you and have you any experiences of such like things maybe? And the other thing is there are some things like now you're talking about clients, you are people you want to meet, and maybe there's that connection. You find that sometimes with the fasting, you find that everything goes in order. You plan to meet somebody, you even meet a better person than even the person you was in your mind or something like that. I think things like we call them breakthroughs. I think that things like breakthroughs, I think already now, or maybe you wait for at the end of the fast. Though you had already done some fast before, so even after you did when you broke the fast, you came to the end of the fast. Did you see things like that? You see things that made your life become easier when you come to the physical life? Was it now becoming you feel like you are not having that burden of the stress that people have with battling with chasing things, with anxiety, with all those things? Yeah, maybe I want to leave at that point so that we can give other people a chance to now stream in their questions to you.
It's a very, very good point, because once you remove all these other vibrations from, let's say, lower vibration foods like meats, you become of a higher vibration naturally. And that attracts people around you. It reorders your life, and it reorders the people around you. Some people fall away, new people come in. And this is a very important aspect that you notice, say, in your circle of friends. If there's people around you that are sick or distressed or whatever, they all of a sudden get better. People who live with you somehow get more motivated, their life gets better, they get a new job. So it doesn't just change your life, it just also changes the life around you. I mean, there's always a spiritual aspect to something, but it really does make a big difference. And when you want to leave that plateau, it's actually scary. You're like, I'm in this perfect world. Do I really want to climb off my mountain? And you have to. And you just have to stop feeling guilty about it. And you realize that, it's not just food. You can always go back up there. But it's an important point that you mentioned. It affects the lives of everyone around you and people that meet you. They look at you, they don't. My neighbor doesn't recognize me anymore. She keeps asking me who I am, and I've lived next to her for years. So it's cool. It does change you substantially. And it's simple. It's interesting that it's a simple fact that just not putting food into our bodies makes such a big difference in such a short space of time. It's powerful.
Quite funny. They don't recognize you. Asking everyone, who are you?
Yes. Thank you for keeping up the stairs. But who are you? I'm the person who lived next door for you. We've lived together
for a long time.
Yes.
Wow. But you've made a very good point. This of as your life is changing, it's like your presence comes with solutions to the people who are around you. And I think this is the key thing with this fast, especially the fast that we do. Changing me and changing the environment around me, changing the people around me, and making the
Yes.
world around us, our community better. Yeah, exactly. So you find that people, there's something like an aura, something coming from you that is changing their negative energy, they're changing their negative, maybe spirit and all, whatever thing that is in them that is not of higher vibration. Just leave because your presence is there, because you have come with a lot of presence of positive energy, very power. We call it power in Christian world. They call it power. So you're around you, all of power is resting, and it makes that darkness get out from people. I just like that point. And you see, with this kind of meetings, the way we are going, the path I'm already seeing ahead of us here, is that there are some people who will be coming for these meetings. Like now we have these ones, and maybe they have not yet known maybe so much about fasting. They are still having that desire and the hunger to know, and they start to get solutions to even their issues. As they are getting for the information, they are coming for information, but even the energy you are carrying, because it's not just transmitting to the people around you that you meet physically. Even these people we are with in the meeting here now, the energy is flowing. And I think we should just make it open so that when people are coming for the meeting, they can expect anything. They come for this webinar, they can expect anything. Anything can happen in their lives. Even those who are sick can get well. Those who have trouble in their mind, stressed or what, the flow of energy that's coming from these people, you like now in particular, will be flowing to people, and people get well, people get solutions, people get peace in their minds, in their hearts, and as they also get information on what to do and continue the journey. So I think we have a good, this is the right way to go. We have started the right thing, and we have taken, we have taken, well, in our hands, not authority, we have taken, how do you call it now? It's like now we are responsible for our destiny. We don't want somebody else to be the driver. We are the ones now driving ourselves to where we need to, we want to be.
A way it puts you back in the driving seat, because it removes a lot of things that in a way disempower you. Because we are addicted to sugars. Sugar has a more powerful reaction in our brain than some of the class A drugs. We're addicted to coffee. We're addicted to Netflix. And I think the most amazing thing was, I like watching history and instructional videos, some politics on YouTube. And, I like watching videos with, Dr. Eric Berg, Dr. Jason Fung. But interestingly, from 3, 4 onwards, all of a sudden, I lost all interest in entertainment, in books, in reading. But for me, it just became more and more important to spend time alone. So it kind of removes you from the normal world, and it isolates you, because it removes all the things that detract from what you might want to do otherwise. And you really just want to spend time alone and focus and rethink. And like, I'm working on 2 big projects right now, and it really, really helped me to step outside and rethink the strategy and come up with solutions and actively pursue those solutions. So if somebody has like a challenging time and needs to reset a relationship, needs to reset their life, needs to solve a big problem, or just build a big business, this is like the perfect refugium you can give yourself, because it gives yourself a cocoon, and you're basically unassailable. Nothing can touch you in this. That's a very interesting point that you mentioned there.
And you see what you're talking about today. I don't know. Should I give you? Let me give you a chance to talk. But just before, you have talked about something that my treasure, the one that I hide in my heart. I do fast for spiritual reasons. The main reason for my fast is a spiritual reason. But apart from the spiritual reason, a mind, a clear mind that can generate new ideas. Because exactly. So the solution for this confusions that we have in the world, people copy pasting everything. Nobody has his own mindset. As in, people don't make decisions on their own. They don't think for their self. Thinking becomes a problem. The solution is self-reflection, sitting down with yourself in a fast. Because most of the thing, I think, the way I was saying, that you realize that you are addicted maybe to watching. Some people, you're not addicted, but you liked watching. And then you find that after some few days in the fast, just lose, don't have any more desire to listen to this. Meaning now it's coming from inside. It's coming from within. You generate your ideas from within. You get, that is the power of fasting. So you become exactly the generator, the source. You become the source of that light. You become the source of the ideas. You become the original person. I really like that point. So we now know where to go when we want to generate solutions, because the world around us is full of trouble. Everything around us just mess. Health, economical issues, whatever, spiritual. People are just in a mess and confusion. And some people are trapped in life, the things that they believe in. The solution is to generate solutions, to have new things, new ideas. You have to sit down with ourselves, do self-reflection, even in our fasting. Because sometimes maybe you can gain a fast and there's too much noise still outside affecting you. So there needs to be that silence. There needs to be that isolation. There needs to be that separation. Thank you so much, Tilman. I think I'm gaining more than I thought I'm going to get from here. So,
Frederick, I will actually respond to your final point, because it's something that I know that surprised me, if not scared me, because I'm always a very nice person, and I have an investor for a project, and I needed to have a very tough conversation with them. And so I did that talk with them, and all of a sudden I completely switched. It was like a line of code that had always been there, had always been dormant, but had to be activated. And all of a sudden I reset them, I reprogrammed them, I switched them from being like a minor investor into a smaller project, to a major investor into another project. And I was tough with them, and I reset them, and I said I added additional requirements that I had. And I completely reset the conversation. I negotiated how I would have wanted to, but didn't know I was capable of. And then afterwards I sat back and they said, wow, yes, we need to be part of it, and we need to do everything that you say, and thank you so much. And then they offered me things on top that I didn't even expect. And then I realized that, it just, like you mentioned before, sometimes it opens up certain modules that have been dormant forever, and it just allows you access to them. So during long fasts, I've had the most amazing experiences, both on a human and interpersonal level, just people who support your life, and the quality of people of a very high vibration that matches your vibration. Plus then in business or in personal life, the sort of negotiations that you need to do become much easier and much more decisive. So yeah, it's a very exciting journey. I'll report from the front lines as we go along. And I'm actually happy you asked this, because you also made it more obvious to me.
Wow, thank you. So the floor is open. Those who are in the meeting, maybe you can ask questions. Maybe you can add because it's a journey where you can be giving more of your commendation. So it's open, please. Anybody who has a question, who has comment,
hello,
anything.
This is Aranka from Canada. Hi.
Hey,
Can
how
you
are
hear
you?
me?
Yes, we can.
Great, thank you. Tilman, so inspiring. I've been having day 2s, day 3s, and fall off. I'm so happy that you the way you describe that, you just kind of keep pushing, keep trying. So if you can do it, you broke my 4-minute mile, I can do it. I loved it. Thank you.
And I just want to say,
yeah, I'm sorry.
I want to say I've been there many times. And sometimes I start a fast and it's like 5 attempts until it feels right. I started, I have dinner again. I started, I have dinner again. And we should never beat ourselves up, because our body sometimes needs time to be ready, to be relaxed. Whatever it needs to do, And I've had, like on the dry fast, I had so much trouble getting through the 3 days. So me standing here saying it's easy 55 days is not correct, because there have been many, many, many failures and attempts and learnings in the past. And I think what all of us need to do is build our fasting muscles, you know?
Yes, totally.
Here you go.
Thank you. Fasting muscles, that's, and not chastising myself after I gave in. You
Yes.
know, I've been really hard on myself with a friend of mine. We keep trying. And we're just like, oh man, it's day one again. And we hate day one.
It's the worst thing.
Day two is really happy because we made it
Yeah.
day one. And then day three, we just, oh man, tomorrow is going to be day one again. I hate it. So I have
Yeah,
to
it's
get beyond
both.
it. No, I've done many long ones and I don't remember now how I went through. So listening to you, I'm going to re-listen again to see how you did it. You used Bulletproof Coffee, which has butter in, or coconut butter, right?
Yeah, if you look up David Asprey and Bulletproof Coffee,
Yeah.
it really helps as an on-ramp because it's brain food and it's completely, it's like our body is a very ancient animal, you know this, and fats and butter have almost zero effect on insulin because we don't care about calories, right? We care about insulin.
No, but you're not afraid of the fat plugging you up?
No, because
no.
that is literally old science, because in the past we used to eat, all we had was basically animal fat.
Yes, that's right. In the mountains, especially. I come from Hungary, so that's all we had, right?
Yeah.
In the winter, yeah.
Exactly. And it doesn't plug us up at all because our body understands it. Our body can process it. Our body actually has more problem with things like margarine or, you know, processed vegetable fats.
What about coconut butter? Would that be a better choice?
If you look at people from islands, they eat all they eat is like coconut butter, coconut oil, and they are super healthy teeth, healthy skin. They're literally glowing. And all they eat is heavily saturated fats. So we need to get away.
How long can you keep it up though, Tyler? Tilman, Tilman, I'm sorry. How long can you keep that fat consumption up? Because it appeals to me very much, but I'm scared of, oh man, I'm gonna croak on all that fat.
To be honest, like we said, it's our body. Our body understands its fat. It knows how to process it. Look up what Dr. Berg has to say about it, what Jason Fung has to say about it.
Yeah.
I did my first long fast was 18 days on basically coffee, coconut oil, coconut butter, and a little bit of MCT oil. You put it in a blender, blend it, and it looks like a cafe latte. You get this yellow drink.
I would love that.
Warm, it's super nutritious, and when it's too tough being on a fast, it just gives you this warm glow, and it just helps you. You basically, I had got very, very healthy on this, and I maintained a very long fast, and it also gives you this brain food because our brain is 80%. Our brain is like heavy fats.
I've been a fruitarian most of my last 10 years or so. So mostly fruits. So for me, this is a big hard concept. I've been watching those videos, David Berg and Jason Fung, and I'm just in disbelief. I somehow feel that even Peter Attia, they're just gonna reach a plateau and they're just gonna croak. Okay, I'm just letting you know what I'm thinking, right?
Now, I'm thinking, I've seen one of the doctors actually check the plaques in their body, and I might do that at some point as well, just to see how it affects me. Because in the end, I'm not a dogmatist, right? I absolutely love, I understand you as a fruitarian, and I understand why you do it, but I wouldn't mind just, I try it. We are on the forefront of science here because nobody actually dares, no doctor will dare say it, because they will get slaughtered by their peers and by their colleagues. So we have to. So if you have any questions, just DM me and we can research it together, because that's what we are here for.
Totally. Thank you very much, Tilman, because you are on the front. people are gonna scrutinize you like crazy, like I am, right? I love your energy, I love your spirit, but I'm scared. I also would like to have. Yes.
You're not going to walk along. Walk along, ask questions. I really love that, Eric and Frederick created the group, because this is an actual peer group, because we all experience fasters and we all have our specializations. And if something works really well, let's share it. And if you want to try something, let's walk that journey.
I'm going to try it. Today is day 1 on Bulletproof, and I'm going to go for a few days and report back to the group. I'm switching over from dry. This is my second day. And I would love to have a coffee.
And it's just this warm drink that also gives you a little bit of fat, and your brain will thank you. You notice you'll be like, your brain will be on a turbocharge. You're so focused. I do that sometimes. Write or I hate reading long documents, and that's what I do. And it helps me.
To make some snowballs with you.
Okay, let's go make some snowballs. Sorry, we are making snowballs here. Yeah.
You're very lucky.
Grandchild, yes. Thank you very much, Tilman. Again, I don't want to take up any more space. I'm going to listen in, and please keep motivating us. Love it, love it, love it. I'm going to share it with my friend, but I know what she's going to say. No, you can't do that. But I'll share this talk with her for sure. Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah, every journey starts small, so you don't want to start big with big steps, step by step. Anyway, I think there was a question here. Somebody asked about your journey. Let me just get it in the chat. As I'm getting it, maybe somebody else can ask a question. Okay. Yeah, about 3. Let me get the first one. Is it different if you don't use supplements? As in, can you do so long without? This is asked by Shireen. Yeah.
Yes. I didn't get the question. Just tell me one more time. Supplements.
Is it different if you don't use a supplement? As in the fasting journey, is it different if you don't use the supplement? As in, can you do so long without? Can you do so? I think she means, can you go for so long without using the supplement or something like that?
It's actually one on my notes is one of the most key points. And it's a contentious point, and it's very important. Thank you for asking this. I always used to take multivitamins and lots of vitamins. And I feel this angst or anxiety that people have, like, oh, if I'm on a fast, I can't take all my supplements. What supplements can I still take? And we need to let go a little bit. Like I've now had 55 days without vitamins, without supplements. The only thing I actually supplement is whenever I'm on the water part of the fast, I do take Himalaya salt, and I do take baking soda, and I do take some potassium supplements. And I'm testing different ones right now, so I'll let you know more once I've done them, because I realize it affects at some point, your blood pressure actually drops. And last time when I started, I had a very high blood pressure. I had like a 180 when I started the very long fast last time. And the end it dropped to 90. And that's why every time I got up and started walking, my head got a little bit woozy, because there was literally no blood getting to my brain. So you need to basically check your body a little bit and get a feel for it. But I would say, don't worry, just going 1 or 2 weeks without supplements. The only thing is minerals. I would say magnesium, salt, normal sodium chloride, and also potassium supplements, and potentially some baking soda I would keep, because it helps your body and your blood pressure and your system function. Don't worry about just doing 1 or 2 weeks without, because it helps your body reset in a way.
Wow, thank you.
Did that answer your question?
I think, I think it's answered, because that's exactly how I understood the question. And it means that you can go longer It means that's what she wanted to get. Another person, this is Kazri Love. She's asking, I missed the first part. What is his fasting protocol? Using or water?
What was the water or what?
Juices. Are you using juices or water?
Juice
Because-
or water.
Yeah.
All right. Hi, Rivital. Good speaking with
Hello.
you.
Hi. Nice speaking with you.
I know I actually had this discussion with a friend today, right? Because some people do juice fasts, and they're very powerful. The issue I see is, and you need to look this up separately, juices are, you basically extract the sugar part from the fruit and you leave the fiber behind. So it actually causes a massive insulin spike every single time you take a juice. So unless you take a pure vegetable juice, which doesn't taste so nice. So my fast is a pure water fast. So it's literally no food, no calories for the last 55 days. I do understand that people like the juice fast, but I kind of find that when you want to go into autophagy, you need no calories, and you will never enter autophagy on a juice fast, because you will constantly, every 24 hours or whenever you take your juice, you give yourself a massive insulin spike. And because there's no fiber attached, it also drops very, very fast. So it's actually very, very hard for people to adjust to it. I'm not sure, did that answer your question?
I think it's answered quite well.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Right, you're doing a water fast, right? And you talked about salt. Do you take it during the fast? Salt or baking soda?
I do every few days, and because your body needs a bit of salt just to keep up the blood pressure. On the first fast, I did 38 days, and I didn't do anything. Apart from water, I didn't take anything. But I did realize that at some point my blood pressure got so low that I couldn't stand anymore. I could stand, but I would basically have to bend over and sit down all the time. So you're completely out of breath, and I didn't know why. And it was only that I noticed when I went to the hospital after 38 days, because my friend actually forced me to go, and they did a simple blood pressure test. And I thought, those values can't be right. And I thought that I went in, I started at 180, and 40 days later, I was at 90. And then I realized that there was actually not enough blood getting to my brain. So when you supplement a little bit of salt or magnesium or, potassium, then your blood pressure actually stays normal, and your body needs a little bit of salt. So that is the only supplement I do recommend taking, because you actually do feel the difference. And I, like for salt, I take either like Camargue salt or like Himalayan salt. I take little rocks and I actually put it under my tongue and I suck on it. Or I just put it in a glass of water and wash it down when I'm in the water part of the fast. Now that I'm in the dry part, I don't take anything.
So how do you go about it? What, 1 week water, few days dry? How do you do it? Like, but how many days water and how many days dry? Like during all these 55 days?
That's a good question. I try not to regiment it too much, because in the end, a long water fast is super healthy. But if you want to turbocharge your results and accelerate your healing, you can add in dry parts. I don't think many people do it. I like to do it. And I like to say, in the beginning, I did like 3 days, then 5 days, then last time I did 7 days. It depends a little bit. Sometimes I have a meeting with clients and they force you to drink some water, and then you're like a sponge. You drink 2, 3, 4 liters of water. But I would say every week to 10 days, I'll try and incorporate a dry period of 5 to 10 days. So it's very powerful because it really turbocharges it. There's one more effect that it has. Sometimes when you do the same fast for a long time, I think we all know this, you hit a plateau. You know, you don't feel anything changes. You don't see anything moving on the scales. You don't feel like you're making any progress. But once you incorporate dry, you know, you have this massive, it's like starting a new fast. You have these massive results. And you also feel like your body is kind of solving things or bringing things up, you're healing things. And you do that up to a point, like last time I wanted to do 10 days, but at 7 days, I just felt so thirsty. I thought, okay, this is fine. It feels really, really good. And then when you drink, it feels like eating. You're not hungry at all. I mean, you know, we all know on a dry fast, you're not really hungry anyway, but you just feel so nourished just from having like this beautiful water. Because for a week you've been looking, you know, you want sparkling water with lemon or you want tea with lemon. So you just give yourself like an absolute treat. And if it's just having a cup of tea or some water, such a massive treat, you realize just how appreciative we become of these small things. So the correct answer and the short answer is, I wouldn't regiment it, but I give your body like a week to recover and then go for as long as you can on dry and then recover again. Interesting, a lot of people obviously recommend like lying in bed and relaxing, and I'm combining this with an 18-hour workday because I have probably the heaviest workload I've ever had in my life. And I'm doing this crazy thing on top. And it kind of helped me stay sane and focused. And I've never had this focus before. You have this laser-like focus. You're like in a tunnel. There's nothing around you. So also if you're going through a rough patch in your life or you're having a big project or like deadlines or something, this is actually a very nice tool to shield yourself from the world. It's a really powerful tool just for protecting yourself from anything that's out there.
And how long do you intend to go on? I mean, you're 55 days.
Yeah, I will go to around between 60 and 75. If you ask me now, I'd like to carry on for 2 months because it feels so good. I do know that I have to eat on April 1st because it's Easter and I have 2 little angels that wait for me to cook for them, and I promised. So I will stop around day, actually it's 14 days from now. So 59, 60, somewhere 60, between 65 and 70.
And you work and it doesn't affect your work? Can you concentrate? Can you, the fasting doesn't affect your work?
Not at all. It actually focuses me. I've never been this focused, and you can't imagine this until you're doing it. It really feels like somebody's giving you like a boost, a turbocharge in your brain. And you can do phone calls for 14 hours nonstop and then write documents. And then afterwards, I have this golden retriever who's sitting there from 5 in the evening and look at me like, you know, we have a date, you know, we need to go up on that mountain. So I go and walk with her for 2 or 3 hours afterwards. And strangely, that also helps because, you know, doing a high-powered day, you have so many things on your mind, and you walk up there and you just release everything. You come back, courtesy of this little being, you come back totally fresh, relaxed, and fresh and focused. And you sleep less. You know, you need less time to recover because normally you spend 3 or 4 hours a day just on digesting. You know, your body is constantly, you know, doctors tell us you need to eat 5 times a day. It just constantly blocks all your energies. Whereas if you don't do this, your body doesn't have to digest all the time. It actually has just time to repair you or just, you know, be cool and chill and enjoy its time with you.
No, on the road.
Okay. May I ask a question one more, please?
Yeah.
Has your weight stabilized completely?
No, I'm still
Meaning losing.
As something that's bothering me, I just keep asking everyone, all the medical establishment, healthcare, why aren't they aware of all that? The doctors, I don't know, all this wealth of knowledge, all these things that we're discovering here. Where's science? They're recommending, they're pressuring people to take vaccines, medicines. I mean, is everyone blind?
It's the absolute cardinal question you've asked. And unfortunately, there's two answers to this. There's three answers to this. And I think they concern all of us here. I think the first one is there are some doctors that do it and they understand it. I mean, to me, every chronic metabolic disease can be healed by fasting. High blood pressure, metabolic syndrome, weight gains, chronic inflammations, diabetes can be healed. And I think if you listen to Dr. Jason Fung, he has proved this. That's part one. There are some doctors in our space. Secondly, there's a commercial reason. Fasting doesn't pay any bills. You know, I've been a very cheap date for the last month because I consume water. You know, I've been on business trips with people and we had the most amazing dinners and they're just sitting there eating the most amazing foods. And I just say to the waiter, please, is it okay? Can I sit in your restaurant and not eat? If it makes you uncomfortable and it looks bad, put some stuff on my plate. If I need to pay you not to eat, I will pay you not to eat, but I won't eat. And people accept it, but there's no money in it. So given that most independent research is sponsored by pharma companies through foundations, through all sorts of things, there's no money in it. And unfortunately, a lot of doctors are sponsored. It's just a fact. I'm not judging. They've made the Hippocratic Oath. I think we all wish in this room that they would stick to it because it is something they've done for the benefit of society. And the first one is probably the most vicious. And that is, if one of the doctors does something that the medical community doesn't condone, they're like a pack of wolves. They go after them. And that's why they will also, you'll find none of us ever recommend anything. We share best practices, but if one of them says, yes, I recommend dry fasting, every single doctor and medical foundation in the world will go after them. They'll strip them of their license. They will ridicule them. It's like a pack of sharks or wolves.
Like a mafia, the mafia.
It is a mafia. And unfortunately, it's impossible for a doctor that is an established part of the medical community to speak about fasting or especially dry fasting. So you have a very, very valid point there. And I don't see a way out. So basically, we have to create our own knowledge base. Because imagine, like for me, right? I was struggling with weight for 10 years. I went to the gym. I did cardio. I was disciplined. And people would tell me, you have to try harder. Obviously, you don't have the self-discipline. And the only thing I was lacking was the right technology. Imagine this. And then I see a video by Jason Fung and I realize, oh, that's easy. I'm disciplined. I can do it. And then I fasted and I undid all the side effects of the last 20 years. So it's just frustrating that there's probably like hundreds of millions of people out there. If they had access to this, they would regain health and they would regain control of their health. And that's maybe the last aspect that we haven't addressed yet. The governments and a lot of authorities are worried about people taking care of their own health because people can do a lot of damage to themselves. And I do see their point, but also they've tried to make them as dependent as possible on medical advice. You see it in the call today. People are really scared of some things because they heard something, rather than just going out and trying it themselves. they're really dependent on the medical advice of others. And people are not really used to taking charge of their own health and their own life. And for many, health is the first step. So you've raised a very, very big point there.
Yeah, because I'm disappointed, and I wasn't getting answered, and all of a sudden I started getting a lot of answers. And these kinds of groups, these that's where I'm supposed to find answers for medical questions. And I've also seen results on myself, health results, and also what everyone's talking about, the clouded mind, and then all of a sudden it clears and the mood is better. You feel more relaxed, and you're more intuitive. All these things nobody tells you about. On the contrary, they look at you like you're crazy with your fasting, or you're being vegan and fasting, and where do you get your proteins from, and what about all these protein and sugars and fats, and you shouldn't have too much sugar, and like fruit is sugar, so you shouldn't eat too much fruits. So like they compare fruits with to cakes. Like, is that the same thing? So it's all twisted. Everything they're telling you, you discover that everything, not only they're not helping you, they're lying to you. Or I don't know, are they doing it on purpose? Are they really that stupid? Or what's going on there? So yeah.
Fear. I think it's called fear. They're all part of a system. And the ticket to a system is a license. And if you get in a way, like if you're like a doctor, if you get disbarred, you can't practice anymore. So doctors, unfortunately, are not able to provide non-mainstream advice, or in a very limited sector. And there's very limited amount of independent studies done on dry fasting. So, or on fasting, water fasting. And unfortunately, they are not in a position to give this advice. So yes, for the time being, I think it's important that we have these groups, but that there are also groups that are curated. And I think that's why it's important to have people like, Arik and Frederick, that make sure that we have experienced fasters here, and that the content we provide is within the realms of our own experience. And then, we ask members of the group to share once they've got something interesting to share that all of us can benefit from. I don't think that's it. We are where we are, and you have to find your own way. It's really frustrating, and it's probably heartbreaking for half of the country, because everybody should benefit from this. We should tell everybody, come along, get healthy, join us,
Yeah, people don't know that. And another thing, I don't know if it's related, I'm from Israel, and right now they're pressuring everyone to get this vaccine, get vaccinated, and it's really scary. I mean, like, it's this country has become, everyone's become guinea pigs.
Yes, exactly.
Terrible. And they're pressuring people here to get vaccinated, and like, this is the wrong way. We have to go back to nature. We have to get back to ourselves, and they're just giving us more vaccines, more medicines, and now they're forcing people, they're pressuring people, and it's all twisted.
There is 3 casualties of COVID, right? One of them is the right to free speech, because you can't say what is officially accepted. One of them is the integrity of your home, because they are now allowed to enter your home without a search warrant to see how many people you have in your home. And this is a third one, the integrity of your body.
That's
so basically, 3 basic amendments and human rights have just been unhinged by people who used COVID as a tool. That's a discussion for another place, but it's a very important point. And now we are basically taking untested vaccines. Vaccines are normally tested for years. And now they've been tested for 9 months, and magically they're all 93% effective. Only that people die or have blood clots or whatever. And those are like unfortunate consequences. But it's a very interesting discussion, and I don't have a good answer for it. It scares me a little bit, much like you, that we literally have zero choice right now in these matters. And we might be creating a two-tier society of the vaccinated and non-vaccinated if we have really can't travel.
Yeah, it's scary.
Okay, so maybe just
Okay.
to develop
Thank you,
something a little.
Tilman. Thank
I
you.
hope that answered your question, and thank you for asking these valuable questions, Revital.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on something. Actually, it's not adding, but to stress this question that you asked. And Tilman said something that caught me. He was talking about fasting can heal virtually everything. There's nothing that it can't work with. And then I've also realized that with the dry fast, there are some things they call contraindications. According to Dr. Finelox, there are some conditions that you do not need to do a dry fast. Meaning, these are the people need to get the other ways of fasting, maybe juicing, maybe water fasting, maybe just living raw, so that we don't leave anybody out. Because when you talk about the contraindications, that things, these ones cannot work with fasting, with dry fast, particularly with dry fast, then we should get to know which ones are these that works with water fast, and which are these are the ones that only works with juicing. Because every fast has something that it does in our body. Every kind of fast has something that it does in our body, and they're different. All of them are different, and their purpose is also different in our body, the way the body reacts to it. But especially with people with conditions, because there are some people who are not allowed. Like I think it's diabetes type 2. These are people are not allowed to do the dry fast because it's going to, instead of helping them, it's going to harm them. It means we should get the option for them. We should know if there's anybody who has healed themselves with water fasting throughout, maybe those who have healed themselves through juicing or something like that. That's exactly what I found from what Tilman was answering. So that we don't just take only one way of fasting and leave the rest. We need to know that we need to be inclusive, so that those people are, everybody else must need to get a solution or an answer in one way or another. If it doesn't work with water fasting, try dry fasting. If it doesn't work with dry fasting, they try juicing, something like that. So I think, Tilman, I hope you got me. I hope you got me.
Yeah, I mean, here I would speak for, let's say, fasting for normal people or people who want to lose a bit of weight. This is my experience. That's where I can speak with authority, but only on my experience. I would divide the heat into 2 levels. I think there's definitely your body. There's in a way also your spirit, because it kind of frees you up. It makes you a much freer, more creative, more powerful person. That's my experience of the last 55 days. And then in the body, I have an interesting theory, but I haven't tested it so much. I'm beginning to think that sometimes we have a weight gain, not because we need to gain weight, but say, for instance, our body needs to store a lot of toxins or a lot of poison or a lot of stress. And in order to process it, the safest way for our body to store it is actually to put it into fat cells, because they're non-reactive, they sit away from the main tissue, and the body can carry on with its business. And that's what I sometimes find in the reverse. When you fast time, all that comes back and hits you. You know, that trauma that you had 10 years ago, whatever the accident, the relationship, the promotion, the stress that you had, all of that is coming back out. Because there are days and weeks when you're like experiencing things from the past and you wonder where it comes from. There's like weeks, like I mentioned before, where you're full of adrenaline and you feel like your body is burning up your past, literally. So a fast is a great healing tool, because it really resets you to, I think biologically it resets you by 20 years. So all of us that are interested in longevity, turning back the clock, getting healthy, fighting cancer, we should do long extended fasts. That's at least my feeling. That's what I'm going to do for myself. That's what I feel it protects from. Regarding these special cases, like diabetes type 1 or other cases, I would really consult a doctor because I'm no expert there, and they might need something different. But I certainly feel very well equipped with this toolkit I have of just water fasting, dry fasting. That will be my toolkit for the next 30 years because it will keep me on top of the game and healthy. And also because it eats up a lot of broken proteins, misfolded proteins. So it takes away the basis for degenerative diseases that we have later. Things like Alzheimer's, things like cancer. Cancers feed on sugar. Alzheimer's feeds on, I suspect it's mostly aluminium. It's mostly misfolded proteins that started. And you can take away the base for all of these. You really just clean up your house, because most of us don't treat our body with any respect. And it kind of teaches us respect for our body. In a way, it also resets our personal relationship we have with our body. We are grateful that we have this vessel that allows our spirit to reside and do all these great things. Because in a way, we are two things, right? We have the body that we use, and we are this crazy, wonderful mind that sits in our body, but never paid any great heed to our body. And fasting really forces us to be grateful that we have this vessel that allows us to do all the stuff that we want to be doing. So Fred, sorry, that was an expansive answer, but it's definitely my healing toolkit, and I will use it for the rest of my life.
Wow, thank you. Maybe somebody else has a question or maybe a comment, because
I have
we
one more important point. A lot of people, for instance, don't track their activity and their developments and measurements during a fast. And I understand it, but I would do it for the following reason, because it helps you understand your body more. So I weigh myself 2, 3, 4 times a day. I use apps to track it. I use apps to track my activity, just because it helps me understand how my body reacts. After a dry fast, I realize our body gains between 3 and 5 kilos in weight, but that's just water that comes back in. When I eat, I realize that, when I eat carbs, my body keeps 5 kilos of water and retains it just to be able to digest the carbs. So you learn how your body reacts, and measurements are actually a very important thing, because you also realize what works for you. In total, I've lost half a kilo a day for 55 days, which is quite impressive. On the dry fast, I've lost 1.2 kilos per day. So you really notice what works for you, what doesn't work for you, how long does it work. A dry fast works for me for 5 to 7 days. After 5 to 7 days, it tails off, gets less effective. Then I go back to water. Then nothing happens. I plateau for a week. But during the week, I don't eat. I still walk 2 hours a day. I still use 2,000 kilocalories per day. So my body kind of just resets, sits around, relaxes a bit. And then when you hit the dry fast, you start having phenomenal results again. But just by switching it up a little bit, you can't do much during a long fast, but just by alternating between a dry and a water fast, it really provides enough entertainment for the body to keep it interested and to keep producing results. I think that's a very important point. I would recommend people to actually really track the track scales or use scales that measure the fat content, the water content, the dry muscle mass. So you really understand your body better and can work with your body. Can tailor what you do to work with your body. Because in the end, we all want to be in tune with our bodies.
Wow, wow, well, that's very true. And sometimes I think this is a point where we can even get we call it what? If you wish, somebody wishes, you can even get a physician following up with you and one or two in one way or another, measuring your heart rate. If you have the machine, like Trevor say that here, boat is on. There's also the part of I don't know, you call this monogram or something, where they take your blood and then they measure, they tell you maybe the platelets are like this, maybe the amount of white blood cells like this. So sometimes you need that information because you see your progress. I think, thank you so much. I think that is very key. That's very key. So you'll be able to tell where you're coming from, where you're going, if you have reached maybe a zone where maybe your body is not reacting.
There's a lot of static. Do you have your microphone next to your clothing? Because we have a lot of noise in the background.
Okay, sorry.
Now we can hear you. So very important because there's a lot of static. By the way, Fred, in the meantime, somebody was asking if you recommend anything to a beginner faster. And I would say we would never recommend, but I would, if it was me, I would start just a 1-day fast, a 3-day fast, and really grow my fasting muscles, understand how my body reacts, how I feel with it, do a water fast, take it easy, don't stress yourself. But it's very important to, a fast only gets fun from like day 2, day 3. Because on day 1, you might have headaches. And normally that is your, that is like a mild coffee addiction that disappears after 2 or 3 days. Then you might have other things, you know, your heart rate goes up, you're craving sugar. And the first 2 or 3 days, your body is really winding down and getting rid of these major addictions that all of us have. And only after that, I understand, take 2, 3, 4, 5 times. But once you get into that zone from day 5 to day 10, you're relaxed, you're at peace, you're in charge, you feel powerful. You walk through a city of people, nothing can touch you. You're like in your own space. And I want everyone to experience this because it's a very, very powerful experience. But will it take time to get there? It might take 10 fasts until you get there. Don't worry about it. Build your fasting muscles, build your experience, read about it, educate yourself, ask the group, and experiment a little bit. And once you feel empowered enough, it's just a really, really powerful feeling. Up to the point where I am at right now, where I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave this plateau. I'm actually dreading the day when I have to step down and start eating again. I don't want to eat. It sounds a bit crazy, but it does get there. So I hope that answered your question. I don't know your name, but I saw your text about beginner fasting. Just slowly build up your capability and come there. Don't let yourself be dissuaded. There's one thing that we need to talk about also is in the beginning is toxins. When you begin fasting, there is a lot of things. A lot of us have like serious detoxification issues. You might have back pains. You might have mucus coming out of your nose. Your nose might bleed. You might have a horrible taste on your tongue. So one of the things is to get a tongue scraper. All of us detoxify through our tongue, but also realize, oh, I need to stop fasting because it hurts me. No, when you start fasting, you have these reactions because all these toxins are coming out. So would you rather have them stay in or go through the pain of having them come out because it's actually your body cleaning itself, and that might be a painful process. So for people who haven't fasted, it might actually be painful for the first few times because there's so much stored up pesticides, hormones, growth factors, plastics, all sorts of things that our body actually has to deal with because it just stores them in cells and fat cells, and then it's gone, it's isolated. But once it has to start retrieving it, it has to burn it. And then you get this reverse effect. So don't, when it's there, just make sure and understand that it's just a part of the healing process. And over time, it gets easier. But this is something that you just need to face, and it's part of your journey, and it's a good part. rather than something bad. So don't misinterpret the pain, embrace the pain, if I can be, use a simple phrase like this, because it's part of your healing. And if it throws you back, just get up again and start. It's like standing in the surf. Start again until you can really process it and move beyond that. And like on this long fast, I felt very little detoxification. But this week, last week was again adrenaline week. This week is somehow a tired week. So it stays exciting. I'm sure there must be a lot more questions. Tell me more.
May I ask again? Because
Yes,
that's my question. Yeah, I'm from Indonesia, so thanks
Good to
for
meet you.
giving me the
Must be middle of the night for you.
Yeah, it's 2 a.m. right here.
Thanks for staying up for us.
Yeah, okay. So I have a lot of health issues. It was after I got motor accident, but luckily I just had mild brain injuries. But from that injuries, I had a lot of anxieties. Because of the anxieties, I had vertigo, right? Like for this morning, I just got vertigo coming back and I felt so bad. And bloated, I guess I have IBS symptoms and some other issues. So that's why when I tried to do like dry fasting for 24 hours, I felt it's good for me. But then the anxieties just hit me back that no, you're not gonna coming back. Your potassium will be low, your heartbeat will be faster and really not good for you. Just eat because you just already dry fasting for 24 hours. And that's make me very scared. And then I broke the fast and I just did like for 24 hours. But then like for a couple of days, I have the symptoms coming back again, anxieties, and a lot of bloated and yeah, some stuff, and very, very debilitating me, especially when I need to work. So yeah, so I also have a plan to quit my work, and also I live alone. So I just have no friends to perhaps to encourage me to do like longer dry fasting. So yeah, perhaps if you have another advice about what I should take if I need to do like perhaps 3 days dry fasting first, because I guess my goal right now, if I could do dry fasting like for 2 or 3 days, perhaps I could go to another longer dry fasting. But I guess a lot of scare happening with me right now, especially if I want to do fasting like from Friday to Sunday, meaning 3 days dry fasting. But I'm not sure that I could do well if I have to work in the Monday, because I need to do a lot of work. So perhaps the energy was losing from the fasting. So I guess that's not gonna be good. So it's just very, very confusing for me. Yeah, perhaps you have an advice.
I'm really happy you share this with your group. It takes a lot of courage. So well done. I'll tell you, I've had 5 motorbike accidents as well. I'm a little bit crazy. I used to do I lived in Asia for a year and I almost killed myself a few times. So first of all, are you part of the group? Are you part of the WhatsApp group? So please reach out or reach me directly. Talk about it, because sometimes when you go through this, it's good when you have 2, 3, 4 people who support you. So
Thanks
please
a lot.
It's very important because you shouldn't always have to face this alone. For me, for instance, there's certain foods that actually give me anxiety. Like when I eat sugar, I get nervous. My heart rate goes up. And that's something that I realized, like, you don't realize when you are in it, but I realized at some point when I went to restaurants, sometimes my heart rate went up like crazy. I was nervous. And sugar, for instance, does this for me. So try and test also if there's certain foods that do this. But if you have a trauma, like an accident, at some point you have to face it and process it. And if it's through a dry fast, then maybe you start on a Thursday rather than a Friday, and work through a Thursday and then do Friday, Saturday, and then have Sunday to recover. If dry fasting really helps you to process that trauma that you still have in your body, that would be good. But do that and discuss this with us, and we see what else helps. We might have some other ideas, you know. It's something powerful that affects you. It's a very powerful shock to your system because you almost lose your life. And in terms of work performance, I can tell you, I have COVID, this COVID isolation might help a bit, but I've worked through 10-day dry fasts, and you can. Physical work even. I walk 10 kilometers a day through a dry fast. So our body is a lot more resilient, and your body is a lot more resilient as well, but you have to learn to trust it. So push it in a safe environment like the weekend, one step at a time. And please PM us on WhatsApp. If you're part of the WhatsApp group, add us and ask us, and we'll walk with you through this process, because it's doable. And it's important for you because you need to get over that trauma to get back that confidence to really, that you can conquer the world. And especially when you had head trauma, we need to be particularly careful.
Okay, thank you.
Just telling
Actually,
you,
yeah.
and we are with you on this. And please do reach out and speak to us, and we'll see if we come up, you know, for some good strategies, just specifically with you.
Okay, thank you. Actually, I had 2 motor accidents, 2014 and 2017. And yeah, you are very, very correct that I have a lot of trauma, especially on my mental. And also, yeah.
It's like a mental block, and you need to overcome it some way, and that is fine. Fasting is certainly one tool, because it forces you, it strips everything else away. In the end, it's the essence of you. It brings you back to your own essence. And sometimes I feel our body builds a cocoon. It builds like these layers up to protect ourselves, but it's also a cop-out. In the end, we have to confront ourselves because it's ourselves. And that's why a fast really helps you, but it brings up past traumas. I mean, I've had some crazy accidents, and I realized that I needed to go there as well. So it's a big trip towards yourself, and we'll walk this with you. Thank you very much for sharing, Lorna.
Okay, thank you so much.
And thanks for staying up.
Yeah.
Tilman, I wanted to ask about bad breath, especially with water fasting. During the water fasting, there's some foul smell that comes out from your mouth. Do you have you gotten exactly what I'm referring to? Maybe
I think it's keto breath, right? That everybody in ketosis knows it. I haven't noticed it so much. To be honest, it helps you.
That's exactly
right?
right.
Because we all work from home, and I've started having meetings again, but in the end, it's nothing we can do about, because our body basically loses its way through breathing, right? It converts that into carbon dioxide, and that's it. And some byproducts. But you have this, it smells a little bit like ketone, paint stripper, whatever. That's just something we can't mask. If it's people that we work closely with, we just inform them and say, look, guys, I'm on a diet. And they say, look, I can see the results. Don't worry about it. As long as you're upfront about it. Very often I feel there's awkward situations that can be addressed so easily when you just tell your, look, guys, you can see I'm on a personal process. I'm on this diet. If I smell a little bit exotic, they will say, look, don't worry. We're so proud of, we see the results. Address it, and deal with it and move on, because it's a physical process that we cannot do nothing about. No amount of washing or mouthwash or whatever will change it, because these are actually just physical or chemical processes that do happen in our bodies. And their upfront communication is actually really good, because you basically get people on the team and they say, wow, thank you for communicating. Now I understand it. I've seen changes in you, and it inspires other people to ask questions. It breaks the ice.
Okay, thank you. And maybe the person who just talked asked questions about how to start. It is a process. You got all you put the right track, and there's also the issue for trauma. You're going to see how to give a support. But the fasting journey is a process, so you just don't get into it abruptly. You start with the detoxification step by step, get the right information. As you grow it until you reach where now you become very stable and you actually become experienced. That's like the Tilman here talking to us now about his experience and the changes that are happening in him. Otherwise, thank you so much. I don't know if there's somebody else was a question.
Can I dwell on this? It's a really important point, because now it's 5 years of experience speaking, and you need to educate yourself, and you need to go online, listen to Dr. Jason Fung. I think there's a series of 6 videos called The Etiology of Obesity. Then there's one called The Two-Compartment Problem. And then I would subscribe also to Dr. Eric Berg. There's 2-3 other doctors that are really, really good in this space. Those are the ones that personally that help me. Educate yourself, speak to the group. And by the way, there's somebody else. Yes, please write a question so we can answer it afterwards. It's very important to own the space and then study your body, learn from your body, and slowly do one day. Journal it, find out what helps you, measure the results. Then do 2 days, 3 days, and slowly grow to own the space. It's a big process that will make you a much, much more efficient, healthier, stronger person. You can be 20 years younger biologically, that you can actually measure. But you need to make that effort and really own the space so you get the best out of it for yourself. You're not doing this for anyone else. This is your journey. And also use us as results. Ask questions. There's no dumb questions, but please do not sit there and worry and ask. Use us because we love to share, because we've all been there. And we all would have wished, if we had somebody point us in the right direction in the beginning, that we'd been there. And for each of us, there'll be a point where it clicks, where you feel, okay, now I understand it, I own it. And you grow exponentially. And I want, certainly this, you were asking me about, this is my journey, but I want everybody else to have the same results, because it massively changed my life. And if I can help any of you along the way, I'll happily do it. So also ping me, ask anyone in the group. There's a lot of experienced fasters. That's why I love this group, that we grow as a team.
Yes.
Hi, I was wondering if I may ask one question.
Yes.
Hi, is it Mr. Tilman?
Tilman is my first name, so just Tilman.
Tilman, first of all, thank you very much for coming and sharing. I really appreciate you taking the time, especially to share your special experiences. My name's Jay Ford. My wife, Karen Ford, is also on here. We have 7 kids, so you may hear a few of them every now and then.
You're blessed.
We're from Utah, USA, here in America. And I'm newer to the community too. So I was just wondering, recently I was able to view Trevor's presentation as well, and I really appreciate that. And I was fascinated and inspired by some of his experiences he shared from a spiritual perspective. I was wondering if you had any spiritual insights, experiences, or even spiritual gifts that you have experienced and would be willing to share as well.
I'm happy you raise it, and yes, massively so. I mean, a long dry fast takes like years of preparation. But doing this fast, somehow many things in my life changed massively. Some of the people I worked with fell away, but 3 or 4 absolutely phenomenal people just entered my life. So I got very healthy, I got very focused, and I kind of felt that my life totally changed and rebuilt around me. And it's very hard to describe, you have to experience it. But yes, I would describe this as a very deep spiritual experience. You kind of feel like there's a power flowing through you. You connect very differently. You live you connect to life in a very different way. So yes, if you and your wife and your family want to go on a spiritual journey, a fast removes a lot of the obstacles that you sometimes have. There's some doors that are closed and you can't focus, you can't concentrate, you can't relax, you can't meditate because you might be too nervous, too tied up in things. But a fast kind of removes all the unnecessary things around you, and just in the end, it's just you standing there. And then it opens the doors, and all of a sudden you get inspiration, you get ideas, you get the people you need. Like I'm building a business, and for this business, I need certain specialists. And I had somebody just pick me up and say, look, I need you for an hour. I feel you want to meet somebody. And they drove me to that very specialist that I needed for this business. 3 weeks in a row. I met like the absolute leading people. I didn't say it. I asked for it. I said, I want to meet these people. And they came into my life. So it makes your life, it takes a lot of discipline and it's a big sacrifice, but it gives you much, much more in return. So it might sound esoteric, but you were asking if it had a spiritual impact on my life. And I would say, yes, and massively so. And it is probably the biggest gift that you can make to yourself because it's your trip, it's your journey. Did that answer your question, Jake?
Yes, like I said, I was just wondering from your perspective, especially through this, 55-day journey now, how it has impacted you. And I feel I've gained a better perspective now. So thank you very much.
Yes, and it gets better every fast you do. But in this one in particular, you feel like your whole body is tingling the whole time because you're so euphoric and you're ecstatic because all these cool things are happening. And it's difficult to share, but it's a very, very powerful experience. And I'm very grateful. And I can't really describe it much beyond that. But when you get there, I'm very happy because it's such a long trip, and I'm very much looking forward to where this is going. To the extent where I discovered that I work with a lot of people in different countries, right? And people look at you and they're like, oh, I can see you on the long fast, you're on the dry fast. And all of a sudden you realize that some of your business partners are deeply spiritual and they can see it on you. They can see the change on you. And they say, okay, they tell you what's going to happen to you in the next 2 to 6 weeks. And they say, this is how your life is going to change. And then they say, I want you to take this course. So you realize that some of the people that you've attracted into your life unknowingly years ago were actually also very spiritual, or they've also fasted for a long time. So you realize that you've surrounded yourself unwittingly with people that are on the same level. So it does expect it to change your life, expect it to change your friends, and expect it to bring really, really good people into your life. So if you and your wife and your family want to have a better life, this will actually have a big impact for your family. And I also realized for people who are close to you, it changes their motivation, it changes their health, it changes their job. You actually take the people close to you with you. So it's also good if you want to help somebody who has a health problem or something. Somehow it changes everyone whose life you touch.
I was going to ask too, do you feel like there was either a specific day or time range, you know, in this journey that you felt like you had like a spiritual breakthrough or gifts, things like that?
Definitely starting from day 30. I mean, in every major religion, you have this 40-day fast, right? And last time I went to 38 days and I really felt I wanted to achieve the 40. But I really felt from day 30 onwards, things changed massively. And you're like on a different plane. So the time range that you mentioned, day 30 to any day after, day 30 to day 40 especially, is very powerful.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And if you want to, I hope you're part of the group. If you have any thoughts or questions, just reach out, ping me, because it's fun to share now. Because having been there, of course, you want to share it with everyone else. Because it's such a nice experience. You want to make sure that everybody else gets to enjoy that as well. Because there's no point keeping it for yourself. It's much more fun when all of us get there, you know?
Exactly. My wife's in the group and I'll definitely join. Thank you.
Thank you very much for reaching out, and regards to you and your lovely little clan.
Thank you. I look forward to hearing more.
Good. Thank you, Dave.
Tilman, can I ask two maybe philosophical questions?
Of course.
Like we were supposed to eat like the big apes. I mean, it's because we detoxify ourselves. That's why we get to this point. But if we didn't, like, we were supposed to live on leaves and fruit, right? So we wouldn't need fasting. If so, what are your thoughts about that? Like,
I think there comes a point when it doesn't matter so much what you put into your body, but what comes into your mouth, but what comes out of your mouth. You know, there's a biblical story there. It doesn't matter so much what you eat, because when you're on a healthy level, your body can process a lot of poisons if you want, but you don't want to be spouting poison. Saying that if you're a nice person and you don't hurt other people and you're on a high level, it might not actually hurt you what you eat. And secondly, I think, yes, I'm also very gifted. You know, we're talking a lot about detox here. Between ourselves, I'm very gifted at detox. I like to go out, I like to party, I like to have crazy food. And I think all of us do, and all of us should, you know. But a fast just offers ourselves a way to reset ourselves. But to really answer your question, yes, we should eat a broad range of food. I think we shouldn't deny ourselves. We should really have fun. And if that means the price for that is that once a month for a week I fast, I'll take that. I'm not going to be there as a saint eating, you know, salad leaves and praying before every leaf. I want all of us to enjoy life and not deny ourselves. But a fast is a tool for all of us to reset, because in the end, we want to be around for another 60, 70 years, want to be strong and healthy. And a fast is one of the tools in our toolbox to achieve that. So let's not be dogmatists. Let's use it as a tool. Let's enjoy the benefits, because there are many, many strong benefits. And that will help us to inspire ourselves and be healthy. And I think when you are on a really happy level, your body is somehow more resilient. So no matter what you put into it, it will be much better at responding and much stronger. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, apparently we're very strong. You know, people all around eat all this junk food and still manage to live long, pretty long lives. So I was just wondering. And another question is UT, urine therapy. What do you know about it?
I believe it works. I believe it works because our urine contains a lot of stem cells, and some people who it basically regenerates you by just picking up stem cells again. I haven't practiced it because there's something inside of me that doesn't want to do it. I believe it works and it can really rejuvenate you, and people swear by it. But have I done it myself? I haven't, and I'm not sure if I'll start it. And then, even if I were to start it, I'm not sure if I would do an online seminar about it, because it's a very personal matter. But I have heard good things about it, and I've heard that people swear by it. Same that I know that I have a lot of friends that swear about doing enemas because it cleans you from inside. But somehow these two things I haven't added to my toolkit yet. So there are 2 blanks in my toolkit, and I don't know if I'll ever try it. My honest answer.
Thank you very much, Tilman. Thank you very much.
Can I add some maybe a contribution to the first question?
Mm-hmm.
About just taking fruits and leaves? I think from the biblical perspective, that is what exactly Adam and Eve were to eat. They were given fruits. They were given fruits to eat them. But then, if you look at our world today, there's a lot of pollution. Even sometimes those fruits. I got some article this time talking about even the fruits that we think we are eating. Some of them have a lot of
Pesticides.
chemicals. Yeah,
A
they have a lot
hormone.
of, yeah. So you find that we are trying to avoid, and we are finding them where you are running to. That's exactly the place where they have also a lot of those chemicals. They're called what? This kind of GMO. You find so many GMOs in the markets, the vegetable markets, and everywhere. But there's something else that comes to my mind, because Dr. Fidelov, after a long time of practicing dry fast for healing, for medical reasons, realized that it is not working alone. Dry fast also works with nutrition. And I think there's a book that he wrote later after that first book. Well, they have 3 books, I think, by now. He wrote a book about nutrition, just making sure that people know that the fast also goes with nutrition. That's why when you get out from the fast, you need also to feed your body the right thing. You give the body what it really needs, not what you have been taking, the ones we're calling junk. And it goes in that line of fruits, and maybe some herbs, kind of, we call them vegetables on that line. That's what you're recommending. Now, I've not read the book, is still in Russian. We need to find out, maybe if somebody will get to us and know what is going on. So there's that balancing where what you take in must also be clean. And then there's also the part the fasting plays in, even if you are clean, because even there are some sediments, there are some things that there must be some remains of something, even in the clean things that we are taking, in the fruits, there must be some things that must have gotten into our system wrongly, or even the environment where we stay in cities, there are a lot of pollutions outside there. So something like that. I think that's how I was seeing on my interpretation of myself. Okay, I think there's another. Yeah, you're most welcome. Is there any other more questions?
I think there's one more point I had on my list, was just exercise. There's always people who say, I would say for an extended dry fast, I do understand that with some rest more and more. For an extended fast, some people say you shouldn't exercise at all. I've had fasts at the beginning where I did high intensity training, calisthenics, body weight exercises for certainly the first 14, 15 days. Personally, I think exercise is not bad. It doesn't really interfere with any spiritual process. I certainly go walking because I have to, because I have a little accountability partner, a golden retriever, and she doesn't care if I'm fasting or not. She will take me for 2 hours, and I do have to walk, and that kind of helps me just clean my mind. So I would say exercise is a great thing, and I would continue doing it throughout the fast. I would maybe switch from weights and high intensity to walking. I never discovered walking for myself. I always thought it was very boring. I was always too focused on speed and physical exercise. But I certainly discovered it's a low impact exercise. If you have a beach or mountains or somewhere to walk, I would certainly do 2 or 3 hour walks. Get yourself a beautiful audiobook and just listen to great books or great news while you walk. And it just keeps especially your lymphatic system. It's very, very hard work for your body while you fast. And it needs to really be kept in flow. So when you do walk, it certainly achieves that. And that's why I would say low impact exercise like walking really, really is good for you, especially like for 2 or 3 hours while you listen to some just great books, something to entertain your mind. And it's part of the process as well. Certainly for me, no matter if I've slept for 2 hours, I will go for a 2 hour walk because it really, really, really makes you, regenerates you. I think that was the last point I had on the major learnings on the list.
Okay, what about your dreams? Because there's somebody who was talking about, somebody asked you from Utah. He asked about your spiritual experiences. Gave him a very candid answer. Thank you for that. But how about your dreams? Have you seen anything in your dreams that is changed? Maybe, sometimes some dreams give us horror or anxiety, fear, things like that. Do you have dreams that are now more calm, peaceful, giving you direction, maybe instructions? Because there's so much, for me, I'm feeling like you are pulling me. You have too much power and love. Somebody actually has commented here. Let me just read for you the comments about your voice. Somebody is saying that your voice is quite soft. Is it always usual that way? Always throughout? Do you have this voice always? And let me just read it. It has always been no, I won't be getting it very fast. Let me just get. I have noticed that your voice is really soft and peaceful. Have you always been like that, or is it the fasting? It makes one connect in a more spiritual way too. Even me, I'm just feeling like you should not end this meeting because it's like, and you are flowing very calm. You can feel you very calm. We are going. So, what about your dreams? Have you seen anything in those dreams? And maybe that before we conclude reading, because I still feel I have 2 more questions. 2 more questions.
All right. I mean, the dream is an interesting one. To be honest, I've had virtually 0 dreams because I haven't really slept enough because I had a lot on my plate, and then you're just gone. But I slept very, very deeply and I always feel very refreshed. But this time I haven't had any dreams I can remember. But I felt very calm. On previous fasts, I had more intensive dreams, but then I felt I had a lot more detoxing to do. And regarding the voice, I've always had a voice like this, but I always appeared very calm, but I always had this volcano inside. I've always been very tense and nervous inside and very aware of my environment. And I would always absorb my environment. And I kind of feel like since I've been on this fast, that I have this like shield around me. So it doesn't bother me what's happening around me, no matter what storm or what pressure or what people put on me. It doesn't bother me in the same way as before. So this is why I feel so relaxed and calm. It's given me a really, really deep calm. And that's probably the greatest gift you all can make to yourself on an extended fast. That it just gives you complete control about your thoughts and emotions. Or at least an inroads on how to do it. And it just gives you serenity and calm. That's the one thing I love. It's like this. You're serene, you're calm, you're quiet, and you're so happy. And people see that and they reflect it back at you. So people you meet, you get in touch with very different people, and the feedback is absolutely amazing because they say, I feel your energy, and they open up to you. Like people you'd never expect open up and share their experiences with you. I've had this like 3 or 4 times now, that you meet kindred spirits now who are on the same path, because they see you and they see that you're, and they feel that you're on that path, and they share with you. So we'll open a lot of doors to friends that you had no idea you had, with people you've met once or twice in your life, or like tough business people. Just say, oh, I can see you on that path. I'm on that path too. And you're like, wow, I would have never guessed. So it will really enrich your life in other ways as well. So that's why it's a very, very great journey for you yourself and for your environment.
Thank you. And Tilman, what comes in my heart tonight is that this message should reach every part of the world, because this is what we call good news. If there's anything we have in this world that is the best news, it's this one. And we have a barrier, and that barrier is language. There are some people who have who speak different from English. So I'm feeling like we need to get some, maybe work on translations, maybe things like that, so that this message can reach the rest of the world, those Spanish speaking, the Chinese, every part of the Japanese, every other part of the world, French, and not be forgotten. Like in Africa, we have French, Spanish, a little of it, but a lot of English and some Arabic, South Arabian, and Swahili. So we think of, I'm thinking of.
You're from Africa.
I'm from East Africa, so here we have Swahili. Swahili somehow in about 4 or 5 nations here. And there was when we were with Trevor, you brought some point of funding. Do you remember something like that?
I'm working on this. Give me another month or 2, because I think it's important that we found. I like Trevor, and I think the English gentleman called Peter was raising a point about having training centers where we teach fasting. And I have a friend in the US who's talking about the same. And you shouldn't really charge for this, but I need to create some vehicles and some funding. And when I have this, then we can talk about translations. We can talk about places where we actually teach this and give everyone access to it. But I will approach you once I have this sorted. That's why I have many sleepless nights. I've been working with investors on projects, and I need to generate a lot of extra funds. Then I can do this myself. I don't like to ask for funds. It's much better if we generate it. And then we can start supporting these initiatives. It's noted, and I'm working on it. And I will actually come towards you, because I'm sure you'd love to do something in this direction. So you and Eric and I have a conversation and see how we move forward.
Wow, thank you. Much love from East Africa. Just love you, brother.
It's important.
Yeah, thank you so much. So
one final point, I think, was preparation. Technically, because it's a water fast, you don't need any preparation. Don't worry about, I saw one question further up about supplementation. Listen to your body, do 1 day, do 2 days, do 3 days, and you will lose the fear. I mean, I've literally done 38 days without any supplementation. And the only supplementation I'm doing this time is a little bit of salts to keep the blood pressure up. So if people are so worried about letting go of their vitamins and their minerals and their medications, obviously you've got to be careful, but otherwise just give yourself a day or 2, learn to be at peace with your body and to trust, and leave your fears at the door. Our bodies are systems that are many thousands of years old. Our ancestors sometimes had to survive in winter for months without food, and our body is very well geared towards it. And it's geared towards survival, and it's geared towards smart survival. It knows how to survive. And all we're doing is making its job a little bit easier by removing some of the stresses and toxins that we've built into it. If you do a dry fast, what works best for me is do a water fast 1 or 2 days before. Because if you if you have a fast, food will rest in your body, sometimes for months. You know, if you do a long fast, and that if that is very toxic food, it will actually be toxic food resting in your body. And that's something I experienced on the first long fast. I'd taken some psyllium husks, and they somehow got stuck, and they were stuck for 6 weeks. So that's, even though it's a very, very neutral food, it's not good. So it's better to do a water fast for a couple of days to really clean out your system before you start. If you do a dry fast, I would do a dry fast on a completely empty body. And I remember Trevor also saying this. For a water fast, it doesn't matter because you are actually expelling all the food, right? But for a dry fast, certainly be more careful. I think that sums up the points that I had, the most important learnings. We can do more of these sessions. I really love it. I like the way you've set it up, and I like the questions. If you've got any more questions, please do ask them, or go into the group and ask us during the week, and we'll be happy to answer them.
Any enemas or colonics, Tilman?
I've never done those. I know a lot of people do, and I've had
Wow.
very, very good experiences with it. So I might
I see.
do it in the future, but it's just somehow I couldn't make myself do it yet. But tell us if it's
Okay.
if you have experiences. I've had people do it with coffee or tea or other substances, and they'd say
All
really,
those, yes. Water, coffee, they're great. You feel light. It's cheating though. Like I know I'm cheating.
but it's something you're cheating to help your body. You know, you're making your
Yes,
body.
yes.
Yeah, and I think that's.
But
that's
I'm comparing myself right now to you, Tilman, because you didn't do it and you didn't get so weak. I get weaker on day 16 on a water fast. I can't even move. So maybe because I'm washing my colon too much. Just.
My experience was basically my blood pressure had dropped. So check your blood pressure. I actually felt this time like 3 or 4 times I took Himalaya salt under my tongue. I took a natural organic baking soda, and I took some, I bought 3 potassium supplements I'm testing right now. I think often it's a lack of potassium. For the rest, because our body is basically burning the cleanest fuel it has, which is you yourself. There's nothing cleaner on the planet. It knows you, it understands you. When it burns you, it knows exactly what it's doing. And as long as you have a little bit extra left, and I had a little bit of extra left after Christmas, it was burning that. And it will keep doing it. And for me, it was just a lack of salt. And when I understood it this time, today I feel a little bit weak because it's on day 3 of a dry fast, almost day 4. And there I noticed your blood gets thicker. My heart rate has gone up to 88 from 62. And I noticed when I climb mountains, I'm often out of breath. So this is just the price to pay. But I'm not a masochist, but I kind of realized this is the price to pay. I have to go through it. And my retriever just pushes me up the mountain anyway. She's like, okay, gotta go. There's, smelly stuff I need to sniff at the top. So she just pushed me all the way to the top. There are just some valleys you have to cross and go through. But if you have stuff like this, let's test it,
Yeah. I wonder if the colonics, like I have a really nice setup at home to wash my colon with like 20 liters of pure water. Maybe I'm weakening myself by removing everything. I was wondering, I'm just, putting it out into everybody else who has experience with that. And it's so hard to let go of that. But because you're doing it with no enemas, I should try it because maybe I feel better, stronger.
I've never done it, but I have some of my friends in the US that absolutely swear by it. So I can't speak to them. And important point, let's look into it and see what
wonderful.
Is. From your side, look, especially potassium supplements.
I got some no salt that Trevor recommended.
Me too.
Potassium.
After the last call, and I got 3 different kinds of potassium, and I'll tell you, I think a citrate, a chlorate, and another one. So I'm going to tell you which one works best. So after
great.
I ordered it straight after the call, so I'll tell you which one works best.
Me too. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Tilman, again. Lovely to connect with all of you.
Is there anyone else
So
got some good questions?
okay. There was a comment here, which was the chat in the beginning. It was the person was like worried about your. Let me just read it. But with all those stimulants and you creating false energy, and that can backfire on you later. At that point, you're talking about a little baking soda during the fast, the water fasting days, when you're balancing during the dry fast. Yeah.
I think false.
Sorry?
They sometimes mean when you go on a long fast, it might be that you're actually drawing down on some life force and that you don't have that left later on in life. And one of my Indian friends actually said that to me. I need to look into it because technically you're doing something very extreme. You're not eating for 55 days or 70 days. It's tough. And I think you might be depleting some life resources. I can't comment yet. I'm thinking about it. I've been thinking about it for the last week. I don't have an answer yet.
Yes,
time will. Me, I want to detox, and I want to detox a little bit more, and that's why I'm doing it. And I'm doing it in one go. But I'm not sure if I'm running down my hourglass of life. Is that the question, or is it did I go past it?
I think that is exactly. It's like a comment on why the person is like fearing for the stimulants. She's thinking they're stimulants, they're nutrients, right? She was calling them new stimulants, but I think those things are.
There's no. I'm not taking any.
They're not nutrients. They're supposed to be called what?
I mean, you've got nutrients,
supplements,
nutrients, but those are basically foodstuffs, and you don't take them fast.
Any nutrients, yeah.
But that, like, minerals are no nutrients, right? Stimulants like coffee and supplements. I think we covered supplements in the beginning. I do it completely without. Sometimes when I'm with clients, I have a cup of coffee. I don't need it anymore. When you start, like we mentioned, we often have this mild headache because when you have coffee withdrawal, you get 1 or 2 days. It takes 1 or 2 days to get the caffeine out of your system. That's fine. I don't have a problem with coffee. A lot of supplements that people take for health also contain green tea or coffee because it's actually good for stimulating your metabolism. But I haven't actively taken coffee during the fast. I think one day I took it, and then once or twice when I'm out with clients, I might have to drink an espresso. But it doesn't affect me anymore, and it doesn't create a dependency anymore because it's like that 1 cup. But I don't crave it anymore. So stimulants, I think they're right. It's a kind of a shortcut. It doesn't help, and you should avoid coffees, teas, guarana, whatever people take to stimulate their systems because you don't need it anymore. Because otherwise you're tired and stimulated, and it stresses your system. In my first fast, I'd taken huge amounts of coffee when I took this Bulletproof Coffee, and coffee has a half-life of 12 hours. So if you have 600 milligrams, after 12 hours, there's still 300 milligrams. And it actually prevents you from sleeping. So I try and avoid it altogether. So stimulants and supplements, for me, I leave them out. The only thing is some base minerals to keep your system going. They're not stimulants. It's just something to keep your heart pumping, your kidneys working, your blood pressure going, just to keep your systems running at peak performance. And even those I do, let's say, for 3 days every 2 weeks, doing the water fasting phase. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, that's quite elaborated very clearly. So
can I say something about the salt? Actually, salt is a stimulant, isn't it? It's especially Himalayan salt. You said that you're taking, so it's poisonous. I find it's more difficult to win off of than sugar. It's very addictive. salt?
The thing is, it's sea salt,
You crave it.
right? It contains, I think your body might crave it actually because it contains trace minerals. It contains magnesium, it contains calcium, it contains all sorts of natural deposits from sea salt, because I can't eat normal salt anymore, because normal salt has like anti-caking agents. It's polished. It's not really salt anymore. So I like kinds of rock salt. If it has to be Himalayan salt, it could be another one as well. But I think it's your body telling you that it wants the minerals inside. Because
then there's a difference between organic and inorganic salt and minerals in general, like calcium, because it builds up in your system and you get arthritis and calcification. That's what it causes, the inorganic minerals. The body has no use for them. You need the organic minerals from fruit, vegetables. That's what I understood.
I need to look into that, because I only realized like a couple of years ago what a difference good salt makes, even on the taste, right? You know, you have real salt is super tasty, and then you realize that normal industrial salt tastes very flat. The other salt that I usually use is just from the Camargue or somewhere, when they have these open basins and they dry the sea salt. You know, I have either Maldon sea salt from England or dried sea salt, and I kind of feel that it's the trace minerals in that salt which give it that unique taste, and that also kind of feed minerals into your body.
That's the point about distilled waters, that you don't have all the minerals, the inorganic minerals. There was a wonderful book that was posted in the group about salt and all the harmful things about inorganic salt, because there's a chloride, I forgot the name, sodium chloride, and there's just sodium. There's a big difference, the organic and inorganic salt. And they say Himalayan salt is not good, is the worst.
Can you do me a favor and post
I'll
this?
send you.
I want to read up for it, because that is definitely something I want to learn. So yeah. I love feedback from everyone who's got these ideas.
It was posted here, and I read it, and all the damages that salt causes. So I was surprised when you said you take salt inorganic. There's a big difference between organic and inorganic. And
you know what? Very happy I learned about it. Please send it to me and I'll read up on it and I'll adjust, because I'm very open to learning, because it's so
pleasure.
That's why we have this group.
Yeah, I posted it on the group in the group a few times, and I'll send it. You're in the group, right?
Yes, I am in the group. So
Tilman.
Please send it.
Okay.
It's the +4176 number. So just post whatever interesting links you have. I'm very open to learning. I love reading, and I use 2 or 3 hours a day when I have time just to listen to read.
It's marvelous. I really loved it, this book. And all right, what did you say the number was?
Just for all of you, it's +4176 342 3433.
Okay, Tilman, right?
Tilman, Tilman.
Okay, I will.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any more questions? You've been a very loyal audience this evening. I really appreciate it. I hope it was interesting. I think
very
interesting.
interesting.
2.5 hours, literally to the minute. It's 2100 now.
Exactly.
Really appreciate the support and your patience. I hope it's been interesting and valuable. It's been my journey. It will go on a little bit longer. And any questions you have, really do reach out, because it's been a wonderful journey for me, and I'd be very happy if you get to experience the same.
Thank you very much. You're very inspiring. It's nice
Thank
to
you
hear
so much.
from other people's experience and advice they have, tips, suggestions. Thank you very much for sharing.
Thank you for sharing,
Likewise.
Tilman.
Likewise to all of you. I really appreciate it. Have a wonderful Sunday. And Arika, great to see you again. Arik.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. Just a moment. Okay.
Maybe
Okay, I
Frederick, if you want to
don't know
have
how
a-
to operate. We had some confusion with the hosting. So anyway, thank you so much. I will listen to it again. I'm sorry, I will listen to it afterwards because I wasn't present. But I understood that it was really, really inspiring. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And if you do post it on YouTube, just let me know the link. Because
Sure.
then we can share it and we can build our knowledge base. I see you have a very interesting channel with
Thank you
history
very much.
sorts of elements.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Yeah, bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And
Thanks.
Frederick, thank you very much for organizing this prolonged fasting group and for organizing this webinar. It was the work of Frederick, not mine. So.
Oh, Frederick,
Yeah.
your
Thank you.
staff.
Thank you, Tilman. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
We are going to put it in both our YouTube channels. We are going to send those the links. And I think in this webinar, I've seen there are 2-3 things that I've just like in summary that we have gotten here. In your the new ones that are very clean and clear from Tilman is that you are when you are fasting, you're not only helping yourself, you're also helping your people around you.
Yes.
Another thing is that came so clearly is that you find that you find some new good things. There's something that you talked about, like you're just wishing something, and then you find it happening, a connection from other people. I think that is so powerful. And lastly, he also talked about the issue of creating a new environment for these people so that people get well. People come into your presence, they get, if they have problems with their stress, it's gone. If they have problems with confusion, it's gone. So in summary, this is what Tilman has talked about. And then he has also talked about the all that is now making me feel like not to stop, but we have to stop anyway because of time. That after you have fasted for some time, when you start to fast, it becomes like a very difficult thing, like death. And then later you realize that it becomes so nice that you don't want again to stop. So we had all those things in this meeting and more. When you are have time, share with others the links. We are going to send them. Thank you so much, Arik. Thank you, Tilman, again. And we are going to connect this much. God bless you, everybody who's participated by asking questions. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. We say shalom.
Okay.
Shalom.
Thank you. Shalom. Shalom. Bye-bye. Bye.